Good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are in the world. My name is Shawn. I'm with Accelerators Organization, and this is another mentor session for Accelerators Organization members where myself and other mentors answer questions from small business owners looking to grow their business. Let's get this thing started with question number one. The first question comes from Kimberly, and she says, what are things to take into consideration when compensating employees and contract workers? The background of the question is one of my businesses is a hair salon, and I want to sell direct to consumer products. And I have my sister who has a great deal of followers online, and I want to offer her a way to make money with me by focusing on sales by posting the products and bringing in new business. I'd like to offer her a commission since I don't have the budget to do salary. What are some things I should do to take into consideration to incentivize her and make sure she is happy and I make a profit? I've got about 10 different mentors answering this one for you, Kim. The first thing I do is I would make sure that I understand my gross profit margins and percentage for the products that I want to sell. It's important to know your numbers so that you can know what you can offer in the form of commission. If you charge $50 for something and it only costs you $25 to get it in the door for her to hand off to a customer, like all your costs all in are $25, that means you have $25 of profit to work in, and you might want to offer her 50% of the profit. Generally speaking, in retail situations, this is called key pricing. We as a company buy something for $5 and we sell it to a wholesaler for $10. Let's say we're a manufacturer of a product and it costs us $5. We're going to sell it to a wholesaler for $5. The wholesaler is going to sell it to the retail location for $10, and the retail location will sell it for $20. If I'm the manufacturer going straight to a retail location, I still might charge $20 just in case, and I'll have higher margins, but just in case at some point I do hire or sell through a wholesale distribution. Higher margins if you're the manufacturer. In your situation, you're the final retailer and you're going to sell it. You would look at your sister almost like the retailer, right? So you have to know your pricing, and then I would offer your sister 50%. Now, this is just subjective in my opinion. There's a lot of different ways you can handle this depending on how much volume she does, and that can come into the incentivized compensation you want to offer her. I will tell you that whenever you get somebody who works on commission only, if they aren't making a lot of money and a lot of commission for the work and the labor that they do, they're going to stop very quickly, as you know. It's really important that she starts making money as fast as possible, because salespeople generally, when they're making money, they get even more motivated to do more sales-related activities to sell more product and make more money. The first 30 days to 45 days, definitely within 45 days, I think you guys will both have an understanding whether the promotions that she's doing online or promotions she's doing for the business are going to yield profits and commissions to her and you, and then you'll have a better understanding. But usually with salespeople, the only incentive and motivation you have to provide them is money. That's what I'm motivated by in my sales positions, is money. But you definitely want to know your margins before you go into this. And you also could put together an incentivized bonus. So let's say, for instance, your margin is 50%. So whether you sell a product for $20 and you make $10 profit, or you sell a product for $100 and make $50, you tell her starting commission is 50%. If in the month she reaches $2,500 in commission, you will then add an additional 5% or 10%. So the more volume she does, the more her compensation goes up, because even though your margin goes down, your profit dollar-wise goes up the more she sells. That's how I would look to structure it. Got a bunch of other mentors answering this for you. Okay, the next question comes from Roy. And Roy says, how do I look to structure my pricing for a new service that I want to provide to a new customer base that I'm looking to develop for my business? I own a clothing brand with a warehouse in Tennessee and looking to add extra revenue by offering fulfillment of products for other companies that do not want to do fulfillment themselves, since I have the warehouse space and labor. How would you recommend me researching to figure out how much I should charge? I've got 5 different mentors answering this, and 2 of them actually do this service. So they're going to probably provide you better information than I would. But if it were me and I were in your shoes, I would basically research the third-party logistics or TPL type of companies in the industry and start getting quotes from them of what they charge. I might look for some Facebook groups for fulfillment centers and start networking with companies that do this and see what they charge. You also want to take a look at what your service level agreement is, because that could fluctuate in your pricing. But I would want to get a good understanding of what your competitors are doing, because remember, if you start offering this service, you're now one of hundreds and hundreds of different TPLs in the industry, and you want to know where your pricing sits, but you also want to know where your service level agreement sits as compared to the industry as well. So you can determine whether or not you're on the low end or the high end based on the service and turnaround time and everything like that you possess. So that's what I would do as far as pricing. I would be researching a lot of TPL companies and finding out what their contracts look like and how much they charge based on volume, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from Ricardo. And Ricardo says, how does a company build a leadership team from scratch? The background is I own a barbershop and eventually want to start developing a leadership team or hire a manager. What is the first step you would do? Or what should I look into first? Thank you. Okay, I've got about 5 mentors answering this one for you, Ricardo. Obviously, in a barbershop, I can imagine there being a need for at least one manager who would be perceived as the team leader or team manager. And that person would have above average responsibilities over and above just being a barber. And they may be a barber as well, but they might be, the manager or the lead barber or what have you. One of the things you want to do is basically start to be a great leader or manager. It means that they are amazing with working with and managing people. They also need to manage whatever financials and other tasks that you want them to do. But the key objective of a leader or manager is to know how to get the most out of the team and keep the team happy, reduce turnover, maybe help with recruiting and those types of things. Team development, leadership development, that would mean basically sending them to leadership workshops, getting them books on communication, working with them hand in hand more to include them in the day-to-day operations and management that you do with your team currently. But leadership and management is all about developing people skills and the ways. So if you want to maybe put somebody on a 6-month or 12-month plan to become the team leader or whatever title you're going to give them in your barbershop, you might want to put together that for 4 quarters. You might send them on a weekend workshop or a day workshop for management and training and leadership, communication skills, things like that. There's all kinds of workshops and classroom settings and seminars from lots of the big companies. And I'll bet in Southern California, there's a lot of them so that you don't have to incur a lot of travel costs. I would look into team building, leadership, and management workshops and seminars and start having that person go to those workshops and seminars. That's a great way to start developing them as a team leader and a manager in your barbershop. Now, the next level would be if you got multiple barbershops, then that person could potentially be the leader in that barbershop, or you could say the future promotion opportunities that you have. This is dangling the carrot, the future carrot, is when I have multiple barbershops, I'd like to have one leader that manages all the barbershops, including the team leaders at each barbershop, and then be there to work with all of the team members in each of the barbershops as well. So there's some opportunity there. but it's all going to be about sending that person to things that are going to invest in their soft skills, their people skills, their communication skills, things like that. Okay, hope that helps. And I think that's a great idea because it can get you out of the way of all of the mundane administrative tasks in your barbershop, so you can focus on working with your clients and then also expanding to another barbershop. Okay, the next question comes from Jessica. And Jessica says, when do I know if I should fire a team member, whether it's a contractor or employee? The background is I have a business consulting and coaching business for the roofing industry. I have an employee, even though they have not technically signed their W-2 agreement, that I pay $75,000 per year. She performs well in some tasks, but we are having a very serious values system and respect and boundary problem. She speaks to me as though she has no respect for me and the company, and many of her personal mannerisms have come into the workplace and are completely unprofessional in private and in public settings, even with team members. I know I should let her go, but there's one client that owes us a lot of money, and I'm concerned that they will not pay or keep paying. And I'm also a little bit concerned about her trying to compete with me. What should I do? Fire her? Or I should say this is causing me a lot of stress as well. Okay, I pretty much have every mentor answering this one for you because we as mentors and have built larger companies have all gone through this. I would say that the minute you start asking yourself, should I fire this person, usually will mean that the answer is yes. Setting aside all of the boundary and respect issues and the client paying and all that type of stuff, going into business isn't about creating new stress in our life. We like to think of team members like this as cancer. And in this situation, you said she's performing some tasks well, but others, not so well. Cancer should always be eradicated. And the challenges you're having with this team member aren't even really about skill. It's about values. This is why it's very important that we hire team members not only based on skill and personality, but on value system, and that we have those core values written down and in the employee handbook and posted on the walls and on our website, etc. Because when you run into an issue like you're having, especially a respect issue, most companies have some sort of core value that has to do with treat each other with respect or something like that, the golden rule, the platinum rule, things like that. And when you hire somebody based on the core values and you get them to sign something saying that they agree with these core values, when they do something that's not in line with the core values, you can have a conversation with them and say, hey, if you'll remember when I hired you, I talked about our core values, and weekly at our weekly meetings, we talk about our core values. Well, I want to bring up an instance in which you did not abide by the core value of something, and I want to talk to you about this. And let's just say it's treat each other with respect. In this situation, as the owner of this company, you spoke to me in a way that was confrontational, conflictive, and disrespectful. And first off, I'm wondering, when I hired you, you were personable, you showed great respect, blah, 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 blah. And you agreed that you want to treat each other with respect, but in that situation, you didn't. First off, is everything okay at home? Is anything going on in your life that's different from the day that I hired you, where you agreed that this was the value system that you abide by in your life, to that other situation where you treated me and maybe another team member with disrespect? We want to find out if there's something going on at home, because sometimes home stresses can come into the workplace, and we want to show great empathy for the team members that we have. Obviously, and I'll also say this, that it's very important that we as owners and business owners, which sometimes we can be emotional, we have to also abide by our core values and practice what we preach, because if we don't, then our team members can then see that as a sign to not take the core values as important as well. And then let your team member talk. And If it seems like there is a misalignment in core values, then you basically say, if our core values are misaligned and we can't get them on, get them back to alignment, then I can understand that you might not choose to work here anymore. I like to put it on the team member. Like, if you don't agree with something that we do as a company, I understand that you would make the choice to not work here anymore. And then if they say, well, I don't want to quit, I don't want to, well, if either you can abide by the rules and the values that we have, or you can make the choice to leave. The choice is yours. I might enforce the choice, meaning that if you don't abide by the values and you don't do what we do as a company here, then I'm going to execute the choice. I'm going to execute on your choice that you're not. So you're choosing not to, which means I'm going to free up your future for you. People love that line, free up your future. But I like to keep this stuff very not confrontational or conflictive. It's very matter of fact. This is the way that we run the company. These are our values. And this is the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, you're choosing to not be here. All the other stuff as far as compensation and clients paying and non-competes and things like that, hey, that's just part of doing business. This is where you just get back to the basics of your company and be the best provider at what you do. You build the best relationships. You've got the best brand. You've got the best processes. You've got the great values. If she wants to go compete with you, there's going to be somebody else that's going to compete with you as well. And that's just part of doing business. It's not worth losing sleep over. It's certainly not worth stressing over or affecting your life in this way. Make the decision, move on, etc. Now, you also mentioned that you have another teammate, and I reframed your question because there was a lot in it. You have another person you're looking at taking the person's place here, and they have a higher compensation. That's another question that I would submit in the portal about, how do I recruit somebody that's asking for a higher salary? And how do I do that? You might want to submit another question around that as well. Okay, so that's today's mentor session. I hope everybody got some value out of this. Remember, we are going to if you asked a question, we're going to send you your individual answer in the mobile application, in the personal feed. For all of the other members that are watching this, we're going to send out the announcement of this entire video with what questions were asked and everything in the mobile application as well, and it will be in the general feed. Feel free to ask more and more questions. That's what we want. We're here to help you. And remember, if you ever just need to book a call with me or anything like that about your business, you can use the mobile application to book a consultation call. You get a deep discount of only $100 per call. I can introduce you to one of the mentors to talk to, or myself, but the more you have dialogue and ask questions, the more you're going to move forward in your business. Okay. Talk to you soon. Hope you have a great day. Peace out.